I was the vicious fake heiress raised in a wealthy family. After I died, my childhood sweetheart released explicit photos of me, calling me nothing but a slut who seduced men, just a cheap, second-hand item. The internet found my home address and cheered at my death. My parents, afraid of the bad luck I brought, burned our entire villa overnight and even fed my ashes to the dogs. Everyone said I deserved it, until the day the real heiress and my childhood sweetheart livestreamed their grand wedding. They received a wedding gift from me. Chapter 1. Victoria and Leo's grand wedding was packed with guests. Below the stage, my parents were dabbing at their tears, quietly sobbing. Victoria's finally getting married, our precious little girl. My soul floated in the air, aching with sorrow. They used to love me like that, too. Suddenly, someone shouted, "What a perfect match, young Master Leo and Miss Victoria. Truly made for each other." Yeah, not like that Lisa. She stole the real heiress's identity for years and was never even presentable. Even dead, she's still an unlucky disgrace. Victoria seemed to hear my name. She paused for a moment and curled her lips into a cold smirk. I laughed bitterly to myself. It's true, I stole her rightful place in the wealthy family for over 20 years. She had every right to mock me. But then, Victoria turned to the live stream camera and said, "Speaking of which, we really have to thank Lisa, because she prepared a wedding gift for us." A gift? I froze midair. I sensed something? How could I not know? Before I could figure it out, the crowd burst into chaos. She's dead and still pulling stunts? What a schemer! She was arrogant when she was alive, and now she's disgusting even in death. With how twisted she was, could it be some kind of curse? My mother's face turned pale. She shot to her feet. She always wanted to take everything from Victoria. There's no way she'd send a gift. Throw it away right now. That kind of bad omen shouldn't taint Victoria's wedding. Leo also frowned and waved his hand dismissively. Forget it. Don't bother looking. It's probably nothing good. Let's just continue. But Victoria raised her hand to silence them. Oh, I actually want to see what she sent. My parents tried to stop her, but Victoria had already opened the box. Inside was a thick diary. I recognized it immediately. It was mine. But hadn't my parents burned all my belongings? How did it end up here? Before I could think further, Victoria picked up the diary and began to read. February 1st, 2024. The real daughter of this family, Victoria, came home today. She was dark-skinned, skinny, and looked so timid. Mom and Dad said she had suffered a lot outside, and that I should always give way to her from now on. As soon as she finished reading, a video appeared on the big screen. It was Victoria, wearing a faded checkered shirt and old jeans. I remembered now. I'd secretly taken that photo from the corner of the room. Her hair was dry and frizzy, her eyes hollow. She was nothing like the glamorous woman she was today. Leo's face darkened. He yanked off his tie and snapped. "Turn it off! Who gave permission to show that?" "That was the past. Victoria's not like that anymore." "Exactly!" Someone in the crowd chimed in. Lisa was such a snake, she even kept such ugly photos. She must have hated Victoria from the first day. No wonder she did so many horrible things later. She had it planned from the start. Upon hearing that, my parents were even more furious. If only we had known how venomous she was, we should have gotten rid of her that very day. Chapter 2. I heard every word, and my emotions were all over the place. So just a single photo was enough to make everyone curse me like that? Victoria hesitated a bit, then continued reading. But she didn't seem to hate me that much. She wiped the sweat from her palms and reached out to me, but I rejected her. She froze and quietly asked if I didn't like her. Just as I was about to respond, my parents' voices exploded beside my ears. Mom said, "Victoria just came home. Can't you put away your spoiled princess attitude for once?" Dad said, "Do you even know what kind of life Victoria has had these past 20 years? If it weren't for that baby mix-up, it would have been you suffering out there." I was stunned. Just the night before, they told me that even if Victoria came back, they would always treat me as their own daughter. And now, simply because I didn't hold her hand, they finally revealed how they truly felt. But I only hesitated because I saw the calluses on her hand. I was worried she'd feel self-conscious. Victoria paused while reading this, her gaze flickering. She bit her lower lip unconsciously. My mom suddenly raised her head and snapped. Yes. I said those things. But later. She went too far. If she really cared about Victoria, then why didn't she explain herself back then? She's just making excuses now that she's dead. My dad hugged her and muttered. Forget it, she's gone. That's punishment enough. Leo frowned and cut in. Clearly, she just didn't want to accept Victoria back. She was afraid her own position would be threatened. Victoria smiled faintly and said nothing. Then she turned to the next page. March 15th, 2024. The page included a photo of Leo kneeling down to tie my shoelaces. Today, Leo came to see me. The first thing he said was that he wanted to call off our engagement. He said now that the real heiress had returned. There was no way their family would let him marry a fake like me. But hadn't he once said he wanted to marry me because he loved me? We'd known each other for over 20 years. Did that mean nothing compared to one truth and one lie? How could he change so completely just because Victoria returned? I didn't even think. I just ran out after him, wanting to ask him why. That's when I heard him on the phone with a friend. Lisa? She's a fraud who actually thought she was someone important. She was just for fun. If we're talking about marriage, it has to be with the real heiress. I didn't know what his friend said in return, but Leo laughed loudly. Right? Such a waste. I dated her for 5 years, treated her so well, and she wouldn't even let me touch her, acting like some unattainable ice queen. But Victoria, she looks a lot easier to get. That's when I realized all his affection had been a lie. I was really heartbroken. I'd even considered telling my parents, but every time I brought up Leo, they assumed I was trying to compete with Victoria again. They never gave me a chance to speak. But what about Victoria? How could I just stand by and let her marry a man like that? Still, would she even believe me? Victoria paused while reading, then instinctively glanced at Leo. He swallowed hard, then protested. She must have been jealous that you were going to marry me. She made all that up. Leo's parents shot to their feet and roared. And what about how she drugged our son to sleep with him? If our Leo really said those things, then what do you call what Lisa did? Trying to climb into our son's bed with drugs? The guests began whispering. Yeah, I remember that, on Victoria's birthday. Lisa slipped something into Leo's drink. The next day she even had the audacity to demand that he marry her. No way she can clear her name now. Victoria nodded slowly. Exactly. So, why would she do something like that? Chapter 3. Then, Victoria turned to the next page. May 20th, 2024. Today was Victoria's and my birthday, but Mom and Dad seemed to forget mine. They only bought a cake for Victoria. Still, I didn't get angry. It was just cake. I didn't even like sweets. Victoria must have noticed me standing in the corner. She came over with a slice of cake and said to me, "Happy birthday, sis." I pretended to be annoyed and pushed the cake away, but my heart was pounding. How I wished I could say happy birthday to her too. Even then, she smiled and said, "It's okay." At that moment, she truly looked like an angel. No wonder so many people loved her. Later, I saw Leo putting powder into her drink. There was no time. Victoria was about to take a sip. I rushed forward and grabbed the glass, downing it all myself. Just as I let out a breath of relief, Mom stormed in and slapped me across the face. The force knocked me to the floor. But she didn't stop. She immediately turned to ask Victoria if she was okay. Mom, why didn't you ask me why I did it? But in the end, she chose not to believe me. She had the servants drag me back to my room, forbidding me from coming out. I don't know how much time passed. Everything was hazy. I could barely stand upright. In the blur, I saw Leo. He shoved me down onto the bed, his face twisted with rage. I was this close to getting Victoria, and you had to ruin everything? Well, since you're so eager to throw yourself at me, then I'll take you first. I wanted to fight back, but then I thought, maybe if I gave myself to him, I could force him to marry me. Maybe Victoria would be safe. So, I stopped resisting. Later, I woke up after someone threw cold water on me. Leo looked at me with disgust. You drugged me? You even dared pretend to be Victoria. Do you know what you've done? But forget it. My heart belongs to Victoria. It always has. My parents wouldn't listen either. They pointed at me, shouting, "You filthy thing! You used such despicable tactics just to stop Victoria from marrying into a wealthy family. From today on, get out. You are no longer welcome in this house." I thought losing my virginity by force would be the worst pain I'd ever feel. But this hurt so much more. As Victoria finished reading, someone in the audience couldn't hold back anymore. With a trembling voice, they asked, "So, it was Leo who drugged the drink. Lisa just tried to save Victoria? Lisa was framed?" Leo hurriedly waved his hands, panicking. "That's nonsense. She made it all up, pure fantasy." I saw my parents frozen in place, lips trembling. My mother stammered, "Victoria." Victoria was always meant to marry Leo. It was only natural. So even if something happened, what of it? But Lisa, that ungrateful brat. She insisted on staying in our house. Wasn't it just for the money? Victoria chuckled softly. For the money? Then she flipped to the next page. I didn't even have time to feel wronged. I dropped to my knees and begged them not to send me back. There was only an old grandpa in that home, over 80 years old. He couldn't even afford to buy Victoria a proper dress. What could he possibly give me? I really didn't want to go back. At that, my mother seemed to take it as proof she was right. Her face visibly relaxed. But my father still scowled. Lisa just worships money and looks down on the poor. All our kindness to her was wasted. Comments from the live stream poured in. Even if her grandpa's poor, he's still your real family. Calling her ungrateful is right. You despise your own family? That life was yours to begin with. Victoria's grip on the diary tightened slightly. Then why was she so desperate for money? Let's keep reading. August 9th, 2024. I can't take it anymore. I asked Mom and Dad for 20,000 yuan. Mom looked at me in disgust and asked where all my pocket money had gone. I told her the truth. I gave it to Grandpa. She just laughed coldly. Stop pretending. You didn't even want to go back. You expect me to believe you sent him money? Unlike you, my Victoria always worries about him. She's been helping him quietly. What? Now you want credit for that too? That moment, I realized no matter what I said, Mom would never believe me again. But when did things start going so wrong between us? I didn't know. All I knew was, I didn't have much time left. If it weren't for the cancer pain, I wouldn't have even asked for the money. I just didn't want Grandpa to ever find out about me. Victoria once said he was very kind. If he knew, maybe he'd use everything he had to try and save me. But I didn't want that. He was already old. Already so tired. Forget it. I won't ask again. Someone in the crowd finally realized what was being read. Wait, are you saying Lisa had cancer? She didn't go back because she didn't want to burden her grandpa? The live stream chat exploded, and for the first time, some began to defend me. Seeing this, my mom clutched her chest and stood up shakily. She did say she wasn't feeling well, but Leo's parents were already impatient. Enough! Today is Leo and Victoria's wedding. Why are we talking about a dead girl? Leo tried to grab Victoria's hand to stop her, but she pulled away. Her eyes were red as she looked at my mother. A trace of mockery in her tone. Don't you want to know what she went through in the end? What turned her into that person? My mom, holding back tears, sank weakly into her seat. What difference does it make? She was still. Victoria took a deep breath. Then let's continue. Let's see what really happened to Lisa. Chapter 4. Victoria turned another page. October 15th, 2024. Today a friend called and said, "We haven't seen each other in forever, let's catch up." I lied and said I'd been busy lately, but that wasn't true. I just didn't dare to go. Today, I saw the doctor again, my hair's falling out even more. When I looked in the mirror, my face looked swollen. Maybe it's because I'm too thin? I didn't want to think about it. Suddenly, I remembered something Mom once said. Don't get too skinny, I'll worry. But now, It felt like I didn't exist in her eyes anymore. Luckily, not everyone in the house stopped loving me. The nanny who had looked after me for over 20 years. She noticed something was wrong. She said, "You should talk to Madam. She used to love you so much. There's no way she'd ignore you now." And I believed her. But when I walked in, I found my parents helping Victoria choose a wedding dress. Mom was smiling warmly, pointing to a crystal-encrusted gown. "This one's only 3 million yuan, but the design is lovely. You'll look like a princess." Dad nodded beside her. "Your dowry should be generous. Let's transfer Lisa's company and villa to your name. It'll look better to Leo's family too." I stood frozen at the door. It felt like my heart had been crushed. Even breathing hurt. Honestly, I was shocked. They refused to give me 20,000. But one of Victoria's wedding dresses cost 3 million. But what right did I have to be upset? All of this, it was supposed to belong to Victoria. Mom finally noticed me standing there. The warmth on her face vanished. She just snapped. "What are you here to cause trouble for now?" I opened my mouth, but my throat felt like it was blocked with stones. I'm sick. It might be serious." Dad waved impatiently. "If you're sick, go to the hospital. Why tell us?" I froze, then made my decision. If they didn't care, what was the point of telling them I had cancer? I said that I was willing to give part of my company and villa to Victoria, but not all. I thought, at least I could sell off some assets and leave most of the money to Grandpa. And with what's left, I could die with a little dignity. But my parents refused. For the first time in 20 years, I saw Dad's face turn red with rage. He roared, "You dare set conditions? Letting you live with us for 2 decades was the biggest favor of your life." Mom was even harsher. "Lisa, those things always belonged to Victoria. You're not getting a single cent." So that was it. The moment they knew we shared no blood, everything stopped belonging to me, even their love. Victoria's voice was soft, but it hit like a bomb in the crowd. Someone in the audience couldn't take it anymore and shouted, "Even if she's not the real daughter, she was switched at birth. How is that her fault? She grew up with you for so many years. And now you treat her like a dog you can toss out? And even steal what little she had left?" The live stream comments went quiet, then erupted. "Wait, so Lisa did have cancer, and no one in the family knew? My God, she stayed not because she was greedy, but because she didn't want her grandpa to worry. Where are all the people who cursed her before? Come out and apologize." I just want to ask, do Lisa's adoptive parents feel ashamed yet? Dad's face turned dark as coal, but he said nothing. Mom covered her mouth and cried nonstop. By now, the entire wedding scene was in chaos. Victoria glanced coldly at her parents sitting below the stage. "So you mean to tell me, the nanny could see something was wrong, but as her parents, you couldn't?" Chapter 5. Mom lowered her head in shame. I couldn't help but wonder the same. Why hadn't she noticed? Someone from Leo's family snapped, pointing at Victoria on stage. "Are you getting married or not? If not, we're calling it off." But Victoria didn't flinch. She chuckled coldly. "You won't even let me finish reading a wedding gift list. And I'm supposed to believe I'll have a good life after marrying into your family?" That set Mom off too. "If your family doesn't want to marry Victoria, fine. We don't care either. No wedding. And we'll see if your investors still want in." That one sentence shut Leo's parents up instantly. That's Victoria. How lucky she is to be truly loved by Mom. Leo panicked. She didn't want to say it herself. That means she gave up on her own. Victoria sneered and turned another page. "Oh really? Then let's see exactly what she gave up." December 24th, 2024. It was Christmas Eve. That morning, a crowd had suddenly gathered outside our house. Some held signs, some had cameras, all shouting, "Lisa deserves to die." Victoria rushed over and tried to get me back inside, but Mom dragged me out instead. "This is all your fault. Being a slut. You've ruined our family's reputation." That's when I learned Leo had secretly taken photos that night and posted them online. I didn't understand why he did it, nor why Mom refused to believe me. I let out a bitter laugh. That afternoon, I returned everything Victoria had ever given me. I said I was moving out, My parents didn't even glance at me. As I stepped out the door, Mom suddenly called after me. My heart skipped. Was she finally going to show a bit of regret? But all she said was, "From now on, don't tell anyone you're my daughter." So that's how it is. She really did think I was shameful, and she really only ever wanted Victoria to shine alone as the family's only precious daughter. The crowd was dead silent. Even the livestream comments slowed down. Someone muttered, "Is she even human?" Victoria ignored the noise and kept reading with her head down. After I left home, I felt sick. I ended up kneeling by the roadside, vomiting everything in my stomach. I went to the hospital. I asked the doctor if I stopped treatment, how long would I have? He said, 2 months. That's good, I thought. At least I'd make it to New Year's. If I was lucky, maybe even the spring festival. Hearing that, Dad stood up abruptly. That's impossible. She's lived a perfectly good life in our home. There's no way she has cancer. This has to be fake. Victoria lifted her head. Grandpa said, "My mom died of cancer too." The comments came flooding back. "It's hereditary." Poor girl. Victoria turned another page, paused, then continued reading. After the hospital visit, I quietly went to Grandpa's place. I left an apple and a greeting card with Victoria's name on it at his door. Grandpa spotted me and hurried out after me. He asked who I was. I said I was Victoria's friend. He beamed with joy and invited me in for a meal. It was the best meal I'd ever had in my life. I wanted so badly to tell him I was Lisa, but I didn't dare. When I left, Grandpa stumbled after me and handed me a bag of oranges. He said he knew Victoria didn't lack anything nowadays. Victoria once said her favorite thing in the world was the oranges Grandpa picked just for her. I was so envious of her, envied how deeply she was cherished. I hoped she'd live a peaceful life. With Grandpa always thinking of her, that would be enough. I wandered the streets, watching the crowds come and go, and realized I had no home. I used to, but I don't blame Victoria. None of this was her fault. Strangely, I found myself worrying about her instead. Would she really be happy marrying into a family like Leo's? By the time Victoria read that part, her voice had begun to tremble. Chapter 6. Leo's face turned pale. Suddenly, he lunged forward, snatching the diary from Victoria's hands and slamming it to the ground. "Enough!" he shouted. "Stop reading. This engagement benefits both families. There's no need to let her ramble on like this." Victoria took a deep breath, forcing herself to stay calm. She bent down, picked up the diary with care, gently brushing the dust from the cover as if it were a priceless treasure. Looking straight at Leo, her lips curled into a mocking smile. "Leo, why are you so afraid of what comes next? Is it because the next page says something you don't want people to know?" I froze. How did she know what was written next? Why was she doing this? I thought she hated me too. Leo tried to stop her again, but voices rose from the audience. "Let her finish it. Lisa's dead. She deserves her truth." I floated to Victoria's side and whispered, "Victoria, read it." She couldn't hear me, but her hands turned the page anyway. December 31st, 2024. 7 p.m. I saw Leo at a bar next to the hospital. Everyone turned to stare at Leo. That was the night of their engagement party, wasn't it? Next second, the screen behind them lit up with footage. Leo, arms around a group of heavily made-up women. Gasps exploded across the room. Wow, it is Leo! Is he even taking this engagement seriously? Flirting with women on the night of your own engagement? That's low, even for him. Leo's parents were furious, but still tried to defend him. Our son was just excited. He went out to relax. That's all. He's young. They didn't even finish before being drowned out by louder boos. Victoria ignored them completely and continued reading. Today was supposed to be Victoria and Leo's engagement day, but there he was at a bar, arms draped over flashy women. I was so angry, I confronted him. He shoved me hard, and I hit the floor. My wig fell off, revealing my bare, bald scalp. Panicked, I tried to get up, but he stomped down on my back. His voice was full of disgust. "So this is why you never let me touch you? Because you're bald?" One of the women asked who I was. He smirked and replied, "Just a filthy slut." And suddenly, I remembered that night. How he pinned me down. How I cried and begged. How powerless I felt. I stared at him, trembling. After everything we've been through for over 20 years, doesn't your conscience hurt at all? He just laughed. If I hadn't thought you were a rich heiress, I wouldn't have looked at you twice. So that's it. The engagement was never about love, just profit. But Victoria still didn't know the truth. Grandpa loved her so much, I couldn't let her fall into this trap. I struggled to my feet, trying to call her, but before I could even dial, Leo snatched the phone from my hands and smashed it on the ground. It shattered into pieces. He warned me coldly, "Don't say a word. Think about your grandpa." The live stream exploded. Comments came crashing in like a storm. Threatening a cancer patient with her grandpa? Is he even human? Disgusting family. Leo. Get lost. Chapter 7. I saw Leo's parents collapse into their seats, their faces ashen. My own parents looked horrified. Mom suddenly shot up, pointing at Leo's father and screaming, "What's the meaning of this? What the hell do you think my daughter is?" Dad's face turned red with rage. He stormed over to Leo and nearly punched him. "How dare you treat my daughter like this?" But Victoria raised her hand, signaling everyone to calm down. She was determined to finish reading my diary. He had threatened me, and I was too scared to speak. But then one of the men next to him looked me up and down with a disgusting grin. He said he'd never tried someone bald before. That monster Leo even pulled out a secret video from that night. Laughing. "So good," he said. When I heard that, I froze. The memory of that night came flooding back like a tsunami. I could barely breathe. On the screen, I was being humiliated. I was crying, begging them to stop. But Leo and his friends just laughed like wild animals. I was shaking with rage. I wanted to jump down there and strangle him. But I was just a ghost. There was nothing I could do. Victoria's tears finally started falling. But still, she kept reading, her teeth clenched in pain. After the video, they dragged me into a car. I don't remember what happened next. All I know is that I couldn't walk. My body felt like it had been torn apart. I wanted to go to the police, but every time I thought about Grandpa, I just couldn't. Was I pathetic? Was I so worthless that no one could love me? I knew then I wouldn't make it to New Year's, wouldn't live to see the spring festival, wouldn't even live long enough for cancer to take me. The audience was sobbing. The comments flew in like wildfire. "Call the police. Investigate everything. Scum like this doesn't deserve to live." "Lisa, you weren't pathetic. They were vile." I looked at Victoria. Her hands were shaking so badly she could barely hold the diary. Leo snapped out of his daze and pointed at her furiously. "You're making this up. This is slander. It's a crime." But then Victoria calmly pulled a recorder from her pocket and hit play. I recognized it. It was my voice recorder. I had left it next to the diary, hoping that one day, someone would speak up for me. I never imagined that someone would be Victoria. From the speaker came my sobs, Leo's laughter, the disgusting shouts of those beasts. The entire hall fell silent. Even though I was dead, my soul trembled. Leo's family collapsed, screaming, "This can't be real. It's fake." But no one believed them anymore. Victoria slammed the diary shut. Tears streamed down her face. Victoria looked at Leo, her voice ice cold. "This wedding is off." The room fell silent for a beat, then erupted into thunderous applause and cheers. The live stream chat exploded. "Yes, she did it." I'm literally bawling. Forget the fake/real daughter trope. This is sisterhood. Leo collapsed onto the floor, screaming, "Lisa is already dead. Why are you still doing all this for her?" He scrambled over to my mom, practically crawling. "Okay, maybe our family isn't as rich as yours anymore, but if we go through with this marriage, your family will profit at least 500 million yuan. You're really gonna let Victoria throw that away? You'd give up that money?" Mom's face turned red with rage. She slapped him, hard. "Shut your damn mouth." Chapter 8. Crying. Mom turned to Leo's family and screamed, "If you hadn't framed Lisa, if you hadn't tricked us into thinking she was jealous of Victoria, we never would have treated her like that. We never would have thrown her out. My Lisa, she must have been in so much pain. I know now, Mom regrets it. But I'm already gone. I can't hug you anymore. Victoria stepped forward and said gently. Mom, Lisa never once wanted anything of mine. Because she was richer than me. She held out her hand, showing the calluses on her palm. Lisa was right. If she had ever touched these, I would have felt ashamed. She just didn't know how to express herself. It wasn't that she didn't love us. There were countless nights I lay awake in regret. Why didn't I speak up for her that day? Even just one sentence. Victoria. Mom tried to take her hand, but she pulled away. I grew up in the countryside. I was timid, afraid. If it weren't for Lisa, Leo would have already. She trailed off, but her meaning was clear. That's why I have to stand up now. I want Lisa to leave this world with dignity. As soon as she finished speaking, Dad kicked Leo so hard he fell back. Disgraceful bastard. Leo stared up at Victoria, shocked. Then why go through with the wedding in the first place? Victoria turned toward the livestream camera in the distance and smiled. Because if I didn't, the whole country wouldn't get to see the monster behind your charming mask. The comments went wild. Boycott Leo's family. Expose him. Shut him down. Just then, a group of uniformed officers stormed in and headed straight for Leo. Leo, you're under investigation for rape. Come with us. Leo went pale, thrashing around. No, it wasn't me. Lisa seduced me. But no matter how hard he shouted, he was dragged away. His family panicked, crying and begging the police to let him go. They were all shoved aside, mercilessly. As Leo was taken away, Victoria looked up and whispered, Lisa, did you see that? The bad guys are finally paying for what they did. I floated to her side and tried to hug her, but my arms went right through her. Just then, I saw Grandpa arrive. He was still wearing the same clothes from the other day, holding a bag of dried plum cookies and a sack of oranges. When Victoria saw him, she panicked a little. Grandpa. She was probably worried he had heard everything. How sad he'd be if he knew. But Grandpa just walked up to her with a gentle smile. That little girl who visited me last time. She really liked the cookies I made. Be sure to give them to her. Victoria froze. Tears poured down her cheeks. She took the treats with trembling hands, unable to say a word. I saw the cookies, and I cried too. Looking at my parents, Grandpa added. Victoria went through a lot when she was living with me. Take good care of her from now on. Oh right, could you tell me, when will my granddaughter, the one who was switched at birth, come home? That's when I realized, ever since I told them I didn't want to return. Victoria had told a lie for me. She said I had gone abroad to study. Mom glanced at Victoria, then looked at Grandpa and said, she'll be back next month. A month later, Mom hired someone to pretend to be me, just so Grandpa could see me one last time. After that day, Grandpa passed away peacefully. Turns out, he had been waiting for me. Later, my parents had a new grave built for me, and after Grandpa died, they buried him beside me. I floated silently above, watching Victoria laugh and cry all at once. She wiped my tombstone gently, and whispered, you're the starlight that disappeared from my sky, until finally, my soul slowly faded away. Thank you, my little sister.